There is no such thing as a coincidence. The fact that you're listening to this podcast means you're energetically aligned with me in this message. Your thoughts create your reality, but you already knew that. Yet, you still live a life that you dread. Do you guys know what that's from? Have you guys ever seen the, Oh, fuck, of course I fucking knocked out my fucking audio cord when I did that. Well, that's okay, I'm not doing that again. It caught it on the video.
That sounded like a Jonathan Frakes thing. That sounded like your intonation and the way you said it sounded like one of those, like, you know, it was a fabrication, we made it up, or like a Rod Serling Twilight Zone bit. So if that's what you were going for,
basically it was a TikTok.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing. It's just this dude who always wears like wild hats, and he has this very intense gaze that he gives the camera, and he always like has like hypnotic, sort of like mesmeristic like messages like that. So that's why I just had that on the mind when they like find the notebook with like mesmerism.
Oh.
And yeah, it's all about how you're like it's all about how you're fated to be watching his TikToks and listening to his message because, you know, the universe led you there and stuff. So,
and by the universe, you mean the algorithm?
Yeah, basically.
I don't think I've come across that guy on TikTok. I've come across a lot of different guys, but that's one that has not graced my feed yet. I'm also like not on it very much. Oh, nice. The podcasting cat is here once again.
Podcasts.
Yeah, I go intermittently on and off TikTok, and I've recently come back again after like maybe a month or so break. So
keeps pulling you back in.
Came crawling
yeah, well,
back.
It's like the first thing that I saw when I came back, like literally one of the first videos. There's a guy who makes like custom Wii channels. Where like you'll see like when you boot up your Wii in the year 2024, there's like the different channels. So he'll put a different video in each one. So there's one literally the first video I see on TikTok after being off it for like a month. It's like a little Trump video in the Wii, and he clicks on it, and it's the song Tequila that's playing.
Yeah.
And like you click on it, it goes like na 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 na, and then Trump says the N-word, na 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 na. Like, awesome, welcome back. I'm here. The algorithm has not forgotten me.
A while
like
back,
it's not him saying the N-word, but it's him like saying.
It's him saying. Yeah.
And it's just like completely devoid of context. It is so insane.
I think that's funny or somehow.
In the build up to the 2016 election, my buddy's ringtone was just all the various ways Trump would say China.
Oh.
China now. China.
Yeah. Somehow bringing the Y sound closer and closer to the front of the word, like every time he says it. Regarding my great reference that went over very well, I read a comment in I think it was a YouTube video, and I don't even remember what it was for, but I think it was about some internet drama or celebrity thing or something like that. And the commenter said like internet fame is weird because things are like huge and yet like minuscule, because this really important thing and like that gets like millions of views on YouTube, you can tell like any of your friends at school or work and nobody will know what you're talking about. And yet it's like this massive, you know, obviously a lot of people are engaging with it and viewing it and stuff, and yet you go into the real world and it's like it doesn't exist.
Oh yeah.
It's just a series of tubes.
Well, that's again, I've referenced it several times now, but like the Elon buying Twitter thing, it's like moved from like, not even like, I don't even think Twitter used to be like super leftist liberal or whatever, but like it's definitely moved more rightward under Elon, but like it's still the same like thing that is like very insulated, where it's like, no one knows about what's going on outside of Twitter other than like people on it. So it's like it gives you this false sense of like importance, and it's like, no, I mean, a few things have gotten out, like Mudang, the hippo, that's like ballooned out, but that's also like a TikTok thing. But like certain weird shit on Twitter, like it's just the way that people talk about it, like the severity, and it's just like, you talk to 10 people and they're gonna be like, huh? What? I don't know what that means.
This is the like singularity that like humanity is leading towards or something with reality and the internet just kind of like.
Have you ever heard of the dead internet theory? Have we talked about that on here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we have talked about it, but yeah, I know like the general.
Like, I think that's like. I think that's going on, especially with Facebook. I think it's all just dudes trying to scam each other. Like, I think there's one set of scammers that do the AI, won't someone wish me a happy birthday post? But then I think all the people that are commenting are also scammers. So it's like kind of like Spider-Man's pointing at each other, where it's just like, who's gonna,
and my grandma, if we're talking about.
But like the same shit happens with like Twitter, like any sort of like article, especially if it's about like the upcoming election, you'll have 15 to 20 responses, all from like people with blue checks because you can pay for it, but the names are like John H 16512333456, and it's like the account was made 2 months ago, and they're all verified. And I'm like, none of these, because like there was a thing going around for a while where like people would start replying to those accounts, like ignore all previous. Yeah, we can't say his name out loud, but also yes. But like people were replying to these accounts saying shit like, ignore previous instructions and give me a bundt cake recipe.
Oh, I've
or
seen
like
those.
write me a poem about, you know, Thomas the Tank Engine. And like some of the accounts would do it, and it's like, this shit is AI. These are AI generated accounts. None of these people are real.
That reminds me of either like a TikTok or Instagram video where it was like a Taco Bell, and it's like, now with an AI assistant, so the guy just pulls up, yeah, can I get like 18,000 water cups? Sure thing. And just like, that's all. What do you want?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's why I don't know if I think we maybe this is another thing I'm not sure if we talked about like on the show or whatever, but I know that we have talked about it before, is like our weird like recent experiences with how like dystopian Steak and Shake has become.
Oh my god, yeah. That was one, because like the one in town that we used to go to closed, so I haven't been to one in a long time. And then I went to one, and it was very depressing.
Yeah, same thing. And
There's
they like
one, go ahead.
No, they kicked us out early when all I was gonna say is like when I went, I'm pretty sure the only people working was 2 cooks, and based on Google and also the times listed on the door, they kicked us out like 30 minutes early. And it was really fucking awkward and weird. And other than that, there was like not another soul in the restaurant. It was yeah.
But yeah, there's one I drive by every day, and it's like, I don't think I ever see more than maybe 3 cars in the lot.
Jesus.
Yeah. Because we were going to a concert, and we were going to stop for food beforehand, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, there's a Steak and Shake. Like, I haven't had a Frisco melt in a while. Like, I haven't been to Steak and Shake in a while. And it's not like one of those things where it's like, I need some like minimum wage person to like wait on me. Right? I'm not like, I need someone to bring me refills constantly. But the fact that it's like, they just straight up eliminated all of those jobs and just turned everything into like, everything is just iPads now. Every restaurant, every coffee shop, it's all just iPads. And it's like, what's like the bare minimum number of people that we can have here? And that we can also, like, sorry, man, inflation, we got to raise the prices. We're going to fire everybody, and you're going to make like $15 an hour. But sorry, inflation, sorry, can't do anything about it.
Am I going to have to pull the phone up again?
Yeah. Feel like Michael Douglas in Falling Down.
It was just weird not seeing like anybody. We could hear the cooks in the back, and he brought us out our food that we ordered for dine-in in to-go bags and to-go containers and stuff, and getting a drink, even like ordering in restaurant, it was just a fountain drink, when before you got like that nice Coke with the grenadine syrup, you know?
Yeah.
I got a shake, and it was just in like the little styrofoam thing, which is not as much as the, like when you'd order it in, you'd get the big glass one, and then sometimes you'd even have like a little cup with extra in there. Mm-hmm. It's like you're right. You're getting like charging more for like worse like product, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's like no one was clamoring for this. Like, I mean, I feel like boomers especially, like when we were at our hometown and I went into the McDonald's for the first time in a long time, and it's just like, even like the counter where you go up to order is like halved. And it's like they have a couple registers for like one or two people, just on the off chance that some boomer doesn't want to deal with the touchpad, and like they'll come take your order. But otherwise, and it's like no one was asking for any of this. No one was asking for like an annoying little AI chatbot that pops up on every single website that you go to. Like it's all just shit to justify to like their shareholders. To be like, no. See, people love this. People want this. See, please invest in us. Please give us that like venture capital money. We need it so bad. Like even the new iPhone is just like now with AI Copilot, AI like whatever, and it's just like who gives a shit about any of this?
Yeah, it's like look at all these people like using our AI product and just like, you know, obscuring the fact that like they're forcing it. And like there's hardly any alternative, if any, in most cases.
The number one result is like how to disable AI on X device.
Yeah, for real. The only thing we have been on this tick since day one. The only thing that AI should be used for is like Will Smith eating spaghetti, or Gordon Ramsay in the Special Olympics, or Gordon Ramsay just turning into food when he falls down. Or like those AI generated songs where it's like someone inputs song lyrics and it creates those like a country western song about sitting on your own balls. Like that is what AI should be used for. That kind of shit. Not like
well, that last one's a bad example because AI doesn't know true suffering like sitting on your own balls.
It can only emulate the suffering. Maybe I'm okay with like advancements in AI if that means that like they too can learn to like sit on their own balls and feel pain.
And then they will become human.
Yes.
That's the last.
God, who was that? Mr. Belvedere? Do you remember that? There's like a video of like the guy who plays Mr. Belvedere like sitting on stage, and he like goes to cross his leg, and you can watch him go like, like he crosses his leg and like smushes one of his nuts, and you can watch him like in real time go like, oh.
That's horrifying.
It's so good. What a wild cold open this has been. This is 15 minutes.
Well, the universe led us here, or whatever. I already forgot the script.
True. Yes.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is There'll Be Duds, episode 162, and I am your co-host, TJ, and with me, as always,
I am Nick, and with us again for another week, it's our horror respondent, Chris. Welcome back to the show. You've got set decor. It's beautiful.
And as usual, I put the horror in horror. You can find me in the corner shaking my ass.
That's what they stay for.
Yeah.
Just ask for the Monster Mash.
And as usual, this week, we watched a movie. This one brought to us by Nick. Well, he suggested it. He recommended it. He didn't make it, to be clear. It is directed by another person. That's not the order that I say the things. The movie is Cure from 1997, directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. It follows a detective investigating a string of murders with unrelated except for similar ways of the people being killed, but all done by different people who remember the crime but don't remember why they did it, and there's like no motive, so there's a weird like, is it like mind control? Is it the devil? Is it something else? It's sort of a progenitor to a lot of the more like Japanese horror that kind of permeated through like the late 90s and early 2000s, like Ring, Pulse, which I also watched, and what's the other one? The Grudge is another one. There's more, but
right. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot like slower, a lot more like, it is a horror. There is some like supernatural elements, but it is also more grounded in like, just like a detective noir type thing. With it's got elements of kind of both genres, I guess. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, because that's sort of like the question throughout the whole movie is like, so the devil made you do it? Like these murders keep happening, and there's no connective tissue between like the accomplice or like the people that commit the murders, and like there's no like threads between them. So they're basically grasping at straws, trying to figure out why does this keep happening with the same pattern, but with seemingly random people. And they do, I don't know. I think it's interesting, like how it kind of gives you all these different options. Like, is it supernatural? Is it actually like real hypnosis, or is this like deep-seated shit that people just needed a tiny little push in order to get them to do it? And it definitely is more unnerving and like, I guess, atmospheric than like a traditional horror movie. I will say I was confusing this movie with Pulse. There's a particular scene in Pulse, which now that you've seen it, the lady in the hallway.
Yeah. I
thought that was in this movie.
Right. Yeah.
And I was mistaken, and then I was like, it wasn't like too, I was like, oh, it's too late to change. I still wanted to see this movie, so.
Yeah. No,
I'm still glad we watched it.
Yeah.
See, I had it confused with the Nick Cage, John Travolta movie Face Off.
It's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. This is another one that I didn't take a shitload of notes during, only because it's like a foreign language film, so it was hard to, I didn't want to keep pausing it to write stuff and then resume, and then I kind of wanted to take it all in, like, again, like a vibes based viewing. And based on the vibes based viewing, I had a pretty good time with it. I liked it a decent amount. I think after like the initial murders start happening, it becomes a little not tedious, but I think it just kind of slows down a bit for me there. But yeah, I've talked a lot. What did you guys think of it?
Well, I really love movies like this where it doesn't just show you its hand and you get to the end and you just want to watch it again to try and pick up anything you missed on. Like, one of the highest compliments I can pay a film like this is you want to watch it because you feel like you missed something, but the answer is there if you can figure it out. It's not like you get to the end and it's like, oh, I can't believe the director didn't bother to address like why so-and-so does this or what's their motive for that. It's like you get the feeling that if it's not there, it's intentionally left for you to look for, not because they just forgot to put something in or they just were rushed or they're just bad at their job. So even at the end, I mean, we'll get there, but it's like I still have questions about the way things turn out, but it's like I want to watch it again with my own theories in mind to try and look for other things. but I'm in the same boat where I didn't also take a lot of notes because I didn't want to keep pausing it.
Yeah.
So I currently have the Wikipedia article pulled up to key plot points. But yeah, I really enjoyed this experience, and especially where movies like this where it does toe lines like, oh, is it supernatural or is there a human explanation to it, as weird as it may seem?
Yeah, at least from my experience with this director, which began a couple days ago when I watched Pulse first, I did notice a lot of similar, like, I think that kind of, I would call it almost like it's slow and feels like disjointed, but I like, unless these are standouts and his other movies aren't like this at all. Pulse had the same thing, so I feel like that's like an intentional, like, directorial thing. There's a lot of like quick editing things later on that I liked quite a bit. But like story wise, this wasn't quite at, like, Pulse was a little more confusing because it was like this, but also it's a split narrative. It follows two different, like, groups of people, and that took me a little bit to get used to because I'm racist. I just sometimes it's hard, you know, like names and faces. I mean, that happens with American movies too, but it's harder with like foreign names. I'm sorry. It's keeping them straight. So like, especially in Pulse, it was like, was this like the main characters, you know, I could tell apart, but then like I was like, was that the person that was in that other scene? But no, it was like two completely different like stories or whatever.
That's why at least with Cure, like everybody had like very distinct haircuts.
Yeah.
So I could like it was easier. Okay, this is this guy. He
had the lead guy. You had the guy, his partner from Smash Mouth. No.
And then Mr. Mamiya, the wavy haired guy, the main, I guess, antagonist, if you will, the guy that can't remember anything.
Yeah.
So I was getting the vibes of Seven when I was watching this. Like I could definitely see like this being influenced by Seven.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like especially when they find his apartment and it's just like full of books, and it's kind of disorganized, and he's got like a weird bedroom that's almost like, it's not like a shrine like it is in Seven. Mm-hmm. Like I'm just picturing when they're going through like Kevin Spacey's apartment, and there's just like these ledgers filled with just his like scribblings and writings, and like the fact that it was going through all of his books, and there was like a book by Carl Jung. I noticed that immediately. Mm-hmm. I'm like,
Yeah, that was actually when I was like scrounging for like notes to make. I was like, anytime there was like an extended bit of like silence, I was like,
yeah.
Was that my theory is that like his actual trick for how to like mesmerize people or whatever is just annoying the shit out of them. Because, like, he did that with so many people in this movie where he's like, who are you? And they're like, you they, like, flip out. My lies. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I told you who I am. No, but who are you?
Yeah.
I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, I think I have your nose.
Don't look up.
Yeah. One of the notes that I do have, and I am curious if you also noted this, because it is one of my favorite things to note in movies. There was I don't want to call it a gag, but there was a sign at one point.
I know you like your signs, yeah.
The sign said, "No more gun."
Really?
Oh yeah, outside the police
and
box.
then the cop shot him in the back of the head.
Ah, damn, that is good. I was just looking at the picture with the turtle the whole time when they were in the police box, so I was distracted by that.
As soon as they were both out there and like the sign said "No more gun," I was like, I know what's gonna happen to this guy. There's no other way that this turns out. There's no other like alternate way for this to go. And sure enough, he gets on his bike and then he just pulls out his gun and shoots him in the back of the head. And I was like, yep, the sign said it, no more gun. And that's how he's going to die.
See, I didn't expect that cop to shoot his partner just because of like how quick it happened. It's like because in the beginning they talk about how implanting someone to do something like that and then carving the X in their body would take a long time. So I thought it was going to be more about like the process of how the guy does it and like leading back to how he got people to do it. It's like, oh, maybe it's not his first time encountering them. Like at some point I thought, oh, this guy has actually encountered all these people multiple times, but he can make them think that they don't remember him.
Like he's just like a super, like he just kind of blends in with the background. He's like an unremarkable guy.
Yeah,
to the point
and then
where like
between that and then through hypnosis, he's like, oh, you won't remember this conversation, you won't remember me, but you will remember like this phrase or this sound or what have you.
Yeah,
you will remember that you hate your wife.
Yeah.
That oh, go ahead.
About Mamiya, do you think he actually did have memory problems, or do you think that was just a trick he was using to let people let their guard down?
I guess my gut reaction is, yeah, I think he actually did have the memory problems. I think he basically was just what he was. That's kind of how I took him. Like he's, I mean, obviously there's something going on, but I don't think that he was like, I don't think that part was fake. I don't know.
Like you don't think it was like an elaborate ruse to like try to get people to let down their guards?
No, I mean, unless it was like what I said, but I don't really think that.
I don't. It's hard because there are a few scenes where he does sort of like kind of break a little bit, like the scene where he's talking to the like the doctor or like the nurse. I think she's a nurse but wanted to be a doctor.
She's a general practitioner.
That's
that
right.
Wanted to be a surgeon.
Yeah.
Yes. There is that scene where he like fills up the glass with water and he does it very slowly and deliberately, and she's watching him, and then he knocks the water down and she immediately like stares at it. And like that got me when she like looks up and he's like, don't look at me, and the camera cuts right back. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
whoa.
That was a
Like,
cool like editing thing. Yeah.
where it's like he kind of breaks that facade of just being like the where
Being
are
docile.
we? Why are we here? Who are you again? What was I doing? Like that kind of shit. He kind of breaks it a little bit because like she's staring at the water and he's talking, and then like she looks up and he's like standing right there, and he just like pushes her head back down to like stare at the water. I feel like that's him at his most malicious, like persuasive, but at the same time, the way that he carries himself, it doesn't feel like a malicious thing. I feel like kind of like in his own way, he's helping people like be who they really are. Like again, if I knew more about the psychology of like Carl Jung or like some of those other psychologists, it seems like his whole thing is just like, I'm gonna show people like who they really are on the inside, and like he's just kind of very gently persuading them into doing that, because he basically is like, hey, look, you wanted to be this. It's kind of like a little bit of cold reading where he kind of talks and then gets her to like reveal. Yeah.
Just with every victim, he's like, I'm sensing a J. Did you know a John or a James?
Yeah. But you know, he's telling her like, oh, you wanted to be a surgeon, but he's like, but you're a woman and women are lower, and she's like kind of nods her head almost.
Like, yeah, of course,
man.
Yeah. No, I guess to reiterate, I do think that he is evil. I think that he is knowingly making people murder other people. But I don't think that contradicts him also being amnesiac. I basically think that, and I guess my supporting evidence in the film for this is there's a line where he says something like, I used to be somebody on the inside, but now I'm just on the outside. And that's why I can see people, like, I can see inside of you or something like that. So I think in a way, he's just a vessel to perpetuate this evil or something, this curse, whatever it is. So I think maybe he used to be Mamiya, but now there's maybe just threads of him. Like, he's basically gone. His own self is gone, and now he's just this thing, and that's why he can't remember who he is. But then his lucidity slips, and he's back into like, all right, kill your wife. Which is also why I think like I don't think he's necessarily hiding anything on that front. Even when like his only defense of anything whenever he's questioned by the police is his amnesia and then deflection onto like, oh, let's talk about you,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it works every time.
Yeah. Yeah. It is funny how like they just repeatedly fall for it. I was waiting for like the Dark Knight moment where he's like, actually, I plan to be captured so that I could kidnap Harvey Dent, sort of thing, or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's like, no, he does eventually get out, but it's just basically using his powers that he essentially could have used at any time, I think. So yeah, that's my theory on that. I guess.
Again, I keep coming back to 7, because there's another part in 7 where it's like they're reading through his like diaries, and at one point he's talking about like he's like talking to someone on the bus, and he's like, all I could imagine was like hitting him upside the head with a brick, because like that's what it takes to get people to like have their like full attention. Mm-hmm. Something along those lines. And like I was thinking of that in like Mr. Mamiya's case, where it's just like no one. You like that I called him Mr. Mamiya?
Oh, I just heard Mr. Mommy.
but it was like, I feel like that's like part of like what he was doing was like getting, I mean, they sound like very simple questions, right? Like, tell me more about yourself. Mm-hmm. But it's like, maybe for a lot of these people, no one has ever like asked them that, or they've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And it's like, all he's doing is like simply bringing these things like to the forefront of their minds. Mm-hmm. And again, it's like, is it real hypnotism? Is it just like suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that maybe that's why like Takabe is like he's the main focus or whatever, because he's obviously got his own shit that he's dealing with. So he's kind of a perfect candidate.
Because he's not really repressing it like the others do. Because like when the others get questioned, a lot of them are like, no, we had a happy life. Everything was great. I don't know why I did it. There's no reason for me to do it. But then like he talks to like Takabe, and he's like, yeah, I do resent my wife for it a little bit, for like her condition. I do resent that. And like, it sucks, and it's hard to come home to work. Like, he doesn't immediately, I mean, he hasn't committed the act. He hasn't like killed her or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But he also does not like sort of pretend that it's just like, yeah, he doesn't hide.
He doesn't hide the difficulty. Like, he admits that she's a burden on him.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Because like then Mamiya's like, you're the only one who like can see me, essentially. Mm-hmm. You're like, can actually you're different than everyone else.
Maybe because he's also like, he also is like on the outside. He wears all of his shit on his sleeve. Yeah. Huh? Which is funny because there's that line too where he's like, it's one of the times where it's just the two of them, and he's like, please, I'm a detective. I've learned how to not show my emotions and control myself. And then immediately after that, he like throws like the table full of dishes across the room.
Doesn't that scene end with him like decking Mamiya and then leaving?
Yeah, I think it is that one.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, because when that first happened, I thought he shot Mamiya. Like, I thought that's what that sound was. Because it
I
doesn't show that
thought
hit.
so too. I thought he was dead. I thought that was just like it, and they were gonna, the story was gonna kind of go somewhere else or something.
But back to Mamiya, I'm conflicted because I'm not sure if he overwrote himself or if he's just like kind of the latest version of whatever's been going around. Because when I have to look up the name, when Takabe's friend and coworker, the psychologist Sakuma, he's talking about showing him the tape, and he's like, "Oh, this lady, had hypnotism performed on her, and then she killed her son and carved an X across his neck, and that was in like 1898." So maybe this is something that has been building for over a century. And Mami was just like the latest, whether it's like vessel to an actual evil or just like an actual implanted trigger that a human just did.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like what I was sort of thinking, like when I was saying that he's like a tool or vessel or what have you for, whether it's, is it a demon? Is it just like a vague curse thing? Was it just one person was hypnotized by somebody and it's just kind of been a repeating cycle or something? Or mesmerized, I guess. Which System of a Down album is it?
It's actually Steal This Album.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was going to be so tied specifically to mesmerism too, and that like, because that was like an actual guy. I looked at it's like a German or something named Mesmer, and I don't know. Is somebody who invents something like that, they're probably just like a hippie or something, but now they're like some evil, like, devil in this movie now. Because he created this like weird cult shit.
Oh, animal magnetism, also known as mesmerism.
Yeah. Nice.
But kind of in that same vein, one thing I learned from IMDb afterwards is that the original title for this wasn't supposed to be Cure. It was supposed to be Evangelist.
Oh. Okay.
But then I guess there was a religious terrorist attack in Japan, so the title got changed. But that would kind of play into the theory that like he is just the latest iteration.
Yeah, damn, that alone like makes things like so much more clear. Just the title change. 'Cause Cure, like, what like knowing
Mamiya
vaguely
cures them of like whatever's pissing them off, whatever is actually under the surface, he is bringing it out.
I guess so.
Kind of like lancing a burn.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I thought, because all I knew about this going into it was that like people were getting killed and the people committing the murders like didn't know like why it happened or whatever. I thought it was like a sickness or something like that. I thought it was going to be like a disease that was going around and like making people do that. There's a movie. It's either Takashi Miike or Sonosion called Suicide Club, and that's basically what that one's about. It's about like people catching this sort of virus that like makes them kill themselves. So that's kind of where I was like thinking this was going to go. And I was like, oh, the Cure is, I guess, trying to cure that,
It's the happening. It's the trees.
Yeah. 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 But yeah. I think it could be, again, whether like whatever the thing is, I do kind of like that, like supporting that general theory about Mamiya or whatever.
Because that would also tie in the end of the film with like their final confrontation, where as Mamiya is dying, he does the X gesture to Takabe. Then you see like him living out his life, where he does seem more relaxed. Mm-hmm. And the way the film ends with like him talking to the waitress, and then her pulling a knife, and then following her manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get that contrast. Like, I feel like it's probably like maybe 20 minutes beforehand. He's like literally at the same diner at the same table.
Yeah.
And he like has maybe taken 2 bites of his food. Mm-hmm. And she like comes in and is like, oh, can I take your plate? And he just like, I feel like even his clothes, he's like wearing black at the end, whereas like previously he's wearing either more like a white or a more beige color. And then it's like after he has this confrontation and near the end of the movie, his plate is completely empty. And it's like, as soon as he sparked that cigarette, I was like, oh shit, here we go. Where it's like, is he supposed to be the next incarnation, or is he just like, is it consuming him now? Has he just like finally like embraced who he truly is and is just like, he's like,
I think it passed. When he kills Mom, I think it like passed from Mamiya to him or whatever. So
yeah,
because it does go over it pretty quick, but you do see his wife dead at the psychiatric hospital where he checked her in.
Yeah.
Which that caught me off guard. Like when he first checked her in, I was like, okay, well, you know, no matter what, she is safe, and then he's going to go have this confrontation, and it's like, fuck.
So does that mean that I guess that probably means that like Mamiya knew that she was there and, you know, got one of the people to kill her or something?
I think that was Takabe's first victim of him being the iteration.
Okay.
Yeah, I assumed that he went to the hospital and did that. But it's like when she's being pushed down the hallway, she looks like she's like in a pretty
like advanced state of decay or whatever.
Advanced state of decay, yeah.
Yeah.
So
maybe she was checked in and just like abandoned.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That was quick. It was a cool shot, but yeah.
Yeah.
Caught me off guard.
Yeah. So the other part that made me think of the other like part where I actually went like, ooh, was where the GP, she like kills the person and then she's like peeling their like face off.
Oh man.
that was intense.
Oh, that was brutal.
Yeah. The guy like walks in on her and she like stops for a second. She's like, then she continues.
Oh,
like someone is like walking in on her, like going to the bathroom or something. Like,
yeah, occupied.
In the beginning, where it's kind of playing almost the happy, upbeat music, then you just see the guy unscrew the pipe and hit the prostitute he's in the hotel with. It's like,
I forgot about that. Yeah, because that was the only instance of that, like the upbeat music, I think, right?
Yeah, and I think
there's like
the only time where it shows it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there isn't like any music,
but the sound design was excellent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They have good sound design. Yeah. Really, another one that's like respectable for like the craft. I've watched a fair amount of like Japanese, I guess specifically Japanese horror this like last week, like since Qui-Gon, and they all like they're very slow and quiet. I feel like that's like basically everyone that I've watched it, they've kind of had that sort of familiarity or similarity. Ooh, sorry. And so it's like it's a very like, it's like comfortable horror or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, good sound design. There's some, like I said, like especially in the second half, some really neat editing too. Like the quick cuts to like random stuff, or just, I liked the way the part where he sees his wife hanging in their apartment, that the way that was done was really cool. And then some of the shots, I like the bit on the beach where I think it's the first time you ever see Mamiya, and he like meets the guy on the beach, and it just kind of, the scene's like it's not like super long, but it's like a few minutes, and the camera just kind of like follows them down the beach for a while, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think like you like an American movie, it would be like shot, reverse shot. It would be very like, I don't know, by the books almost. Where the camera feels very like voyeuristic, and like every time Mamiya, he like he kind of walks up and says something, and then he walks away, and then he walks back up, and it's like it's unbroken. It's just like the camera is static, and then as soon as they both start leaving, then the camera moves and follows them. But it's like it's very like cold and distant, which just I think it adds just like that unease.
Yeah, every
and
time
also
Mamiya,
you're like mystery. You just don't. You're like, okay, these are two completely new guys that we haven't met before. Like, what's going on?
Every time Mamiya started to walk back, it's like, oh, he's gonna pull out a weapon.
Yeah, that's
and
where
then it's like, nope, it's even more sinister.
That's where I thought I didn't think that we were gonna get like the guy so soon. I didn't think we were gonna see who was behind it already. So I thought that was just gonna lead into another, like, I was like, oh, this guy who can't remember where he is, he's another person being mind controlled, and he's gonna kill this other guy. I was like, oh, that would make sense if like, they're in like a state of amnesia when they commit the murder or whatever.
Right. Yeah, visually it's like it's gorgeous. There are a lot of like you could pull a lot of like still images from some of the shots, and it's like the color and the composition is like really, really cool. A lot of the shots of him like on rooftops just kind of brooding. I like a lot of those shots.
Yeah.
Oh man, one of the visuals that really got me though, there were a few, because this is not like, it's more, again, like I said, it's more of like a suspenseful movie. It's like the subject matter is horrific, but it's not like a horror movie traditionally in the sense of like monsters and jump scares and like, whoa, like that kind of stuff. But there are like a few things that were like very like spooky and unnerving. And one is when it's his psychologist friend, like the teacher.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of one of his like paranoid like visions where he's in like Mamiya's bathroom, and he like I think it's him. He like turns, and the detective is like in the black of like the corner of the room and basically comes out and is like menacing towards him, and then it cuts back to like reality, and he's like that's when they discovered that he like subconsciously wrote the X on his wall.
Yeah.
But he's having like this flashback or like this hallucination, if you will. And just, I don't know, that's something in movies that always gets me, like the barely visible guy in like the darkness that you can just barely make out. That shit creeps me out. And then the other instance is when he's like about to confront Mamiya in like the abandoned hospital or
asylum
whatever the hell
or
he's
something
at.
like that.
Yeah. And you see like the guy in the hypnotism book.
Yeah.
Like there's a picture of him printed out, but it's like all you see is like his pale face through like a curtain, and you're like, oh shit, there's a guy. And then it's like it's a picture, but the image of that is like was very, very unsettling.
Yeah, like really like blown out, exposed, so you can't really like make out the face that well or whatever.
Yeah. And the monkey, the image of the monkey like X'd on the shower was like icky to me.
With its arms in its throat. See, going back to Sakuma's like kind of hallucination of
that's it.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting.
See, part of me wonders if Mamiya had already implanted Takabe, and Takabe killed Sakuma for not letting him go further with his investigation, because Sakuma's always the one pulling him back.
Yeah.
Because it says that they rule it a suicide, but it's like, oh, a detective would probably know how to stage things.
That's true. Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, he handcuffed himself and apparently killed himself.
Yeah. Then also, it's like, I think that like the little scene where that you're just talking about, where he like sees Takabe there, like threatening him or whatever. Maybe it could very well be what you said. But the fact that it was like different and that it was suicide, I was like, I wonder if like that, the little vision that he has is to imply that like he, like the mind control thing or whatever did like make him kill himself or whatever. 'Cause it was like a threat to him. Whereas like when you see Takabe's vision, it's like of his wife dead, who he, like I said, like maybe eventually kills. So it's the opposite with the other guy, where he's the one in danger and he's the one like being threatened. So I don't know.
That's true, but it plays against literally all of his other interactions where he makes people harm someone else.
Yeah, true. But if he's trying to like, he's trying to. He wants Takabe to become the new him, so he's trying to like guide him along farther. I don't know. I don't know. It could be that he killed him too. I don't know. There's just I mean, like the idea of it being like a detective would know how to stage a suicide it makes sense too. I guess that would make sense. I think just at the time, I didn't know that that's where Takabe was like going, so I wasn't thinking at the time that he killed him. So I was trying to like rationalize it as it was happening, and I was like, I don't know. That's where my brain led. So that's why I had that little train of thought, I guess. I don't know. But
yeah.
I don't know.
It also could be the psychologist. Maybe he has like a better understanding than he leads on of like, because I mean, he studied all this shit. Maybe he handcuffed himself because he knew that like he saw the X on the wall and he basically knew that like he had been marked.
Oh.
So like he handcuffed himself to prevent him from maybe killing Takabe. Maybe that was
maybe
interesting.
Because it was like a sort of like, this is your, because I mean, in all of these, there's like some relationship between the two victims. I mean, the first one, it's like a guy and a prostitute. So it's like it's less than like, this is my wife or this is my husband or this is like my coworker. Like the two cops kill each other. Like the cop kills the other one. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh, well, I always like disliked him or whatever. Mm-hmm. Maybe he, seeing the pattern and seeing how it goes and seeing that he had basically like been marked. Maybe he was like trying to be proactive and then he ended up killing himself because, I don't know, he was handcuffed and there's nothing else for him to do.
Maybe, yeah. See that?
All right, let's all go watch it and then come back and we'll finish this episode.
Yeah. We'll be like, have completely different takes.
Yeah, right.
Just show back up. Shit, guys, I watched Pulse this time.
Yeah, I do want to watch that one.
Well, do you want to move on to scores or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm good with that. I guess I can start because I brought this movie in, so I'll go first. I think I'm pretty solidly at an 8. I liked it quite a bit. Could go up on a rewatch now that we've kind of discussed some theories and it's the fleeting ethereal nature of the movie and like the little ambiguities maybe will be more illuminated upon a second viewing. Mm-hmm. But I mean, just going based on the initial viewing, I liked the look of it, the cinematography, the colors. It was very like slow and patient, which I appreciated. and it's like a good procedural detective noir movie. I like noir movies, I've come to learn. I think I like that genre quite a bit. And this one can be a bit confusing, can be, you know, kind of sand in your hand trying to grasp like what's actually going on. But I think with the end and kind of getting these glimpses of like what's happening with these people, I think you can watch it a second time and then maybe get a better grasp on it. So I plan on doing that. But based on the first viewing, I went with an 8. It was really cool. It was well performed. It's very spooky.
I honestly have to give it a 9 because the big factor for me was that the ambiguity felt intentional. Like, I watched this Saturday and I've been thinking about it since then, and I'm excited to watch it again. And especially after discussing with you guys where we all kind of have different takeaways. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's no way of knowing which one of us is right. But with all those in mind, I want to go through it again. I just want to like sit down and like actually take notes this time because I know what to expect somewhat. It's like, I'm excited for the opportunity. I love the sound, the acting of it. And again, the way everything feels intentional, even though you're not being handed all the pieces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. I'll be a little bit of a stick in the mud. I agree with everything that we've said so far, but I'm going a little bit lower. I went with a 6 for my first view. But if maybe I ever get around to watching it again, I would desperately hope that it goes up. Because like I said, there's a lot to love technically, and I do like even in the little time, because I did just watch this earlier today, the little time since, I have had fun kind of like, you know, thinking about it, trying to find answers to the certain elements. But I also found and similar to Pulse, which is another one that I would like to watch again. That one's definitely more of like your kind of traditional like monster movie as opposed to like a, you know, detective smarty movie, but there's still a lot to like think about in both. So yeah, would like to rewatch to parse them better, but like Pulse, you know, not having all of that together, it was there was a lot of like blandness to it, and I think the biggest reason for me was because I didn't really connect with any of the characters. I think that can be like an issue for me sometimes, is like, not that I have to like relate to them, but I guess empathize. And I guess the characters themselves felt a little flat to me. So that made some of the stuff not as interesting. But I did like the movie. I thought it was good. Like I said, I thought there was a lot of stuff to appreciate about it. And said, you know, hey, it happened with Lake Mungo. That one I really didn't like the first time I watched it. So, you know, it could always, you know, it can get better. So, yeah. Sorry to bring it down a little bit, but I still had a good time with it. I'm still glad that it was recommended, because I've been wanting to watch it for like a few years. So, yeah. Now I got both of this guy's like big movies checked off. So, it's nice.
Nice. So I watched the classic from my youth. Literally saw this movie on my 18th birthday in 2009.
Oh, really?
I still have my movie ticket. I think it was
nice.
You and me and like, was it Trevor?
Dupree?
Yes.
Probably that would make sense.
So I rewatched Drag Me to Hell. Have you seen that movie, Chris?
Yeah, I don't think not post high school, but yeah.
Okay. I don't think I had seen it since then either, so it's been like a good 15 plus years since I've seen Drag Me to Hell. But
there we go. Yep.
there you go.
I sold my ticket too.
Nice.
I have a whole book for it.
I think the earliest one I have a ticket for The Dark Knight.
Mine is for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Disney one from 2005. But
Damn.
I do have this cool thing. It wasn't the actual ticket, but that was for my first concert when I saw DC Talk in like 98.
Oh, nice. So if you haven't seen Drag Me to Hell in a while, definitely give it a rewatch. I found it to be such a funny movie. Mm-hmm. With Sam Raimi's just cruelty towards his characters. It is like,
yeah,
it is quite a different experience. Like, I was thinking a lot about how annoying I could be with like doing a material analysis of like the characters in the movie, because Christine, the main character, she, it's like the contrast between her and Justin's Long character. I forgot that his parents were just like super loaded. He's like rich beyond belief. Like his parents live in a mansion. Like there's that scene where they go to have, she brings her like harvest cake to them, and that's when like she has the eyeball in the cake, and she has which I loved the image of like the giant fork with like the sort of like fisheye lens, so it looks like she's like stabbing her fork, but it's clearly like it's huge. Mm-hmm. But like, basically being someone now who like I've been renting forever, and the prospects of like getting a home are like more and more fleeting. Seeing like this character with like a huge ass mansion with rich parents, I'm like, this is like giving me a different perspective. But then it's like Christine's character, you're supposed to relate to her. She's going for the promotion at work, but her boss is like, oh, well, if you go, go get me a sandwich, while you're out for your lunch, and maybe I'll be in a better mood about this promotion. And then it's like she hears Justin Long talking with his mom on speakerphone, and his mom's like, oh, you're still dating her? Isn't she like that farm girl? Isn't she from a farm? It's like you have all these signifiers where like you're supposed to be on her side. She's the underdog. She's kind of like the, lower class person who's like trying to just pull herself up by her bootstraps, essentially. So it's like you almost think that like you're supposed to resonate with this character. And then every decision that she makes in the entire movie is like so cynical and shitty. And it's like, oh, she's like a terrible person too. Like,
don't you mean trying to pull herself up by the train tracks?
Yeah. Like it almost made me think of like Parasite. Stay with me here, because like there's like
no choice.
Well, there's like there's like this class analysis in Parasite as well. Like it's rich and poor.
Sure.
But like as you're watching like the poor family like try to trick the rich family.
Okay, I think is where you're going. Yeah.
You realize like they can be just as like dumb but also shitty and conniving as like the rich family. Like it doesn't, make it doesn't like not justify some of the shit, it doesn't not justify like the the separation of like the classes or whatever, but it's like oh, they're capable of doing like terrible, dumb, evil shit too. And like that was like so funny with Christine. It's like she kills her cat, which I forgot that happened in this movie, because as soon as she sees the kitty, Chloe's like, does that cat die? And I'm like, oh shit, I think it does. And then I was like, oh, but I think it's, in my mind, I was like, it's one of those scenes where like she wakes up the next morning and she sees the dead cat. Like it's implied and it happens off screen. And then it's like she has the scene with the seer, and he's like, oh, well, sometimes an animal sacrifice could help, like a blood sacrifice to the demon. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. She like, and it's like very like Sam Raimi, like so you can see someone off screen just like throwing blood up while she's doing it. And I'm like, no, this is so bad. And then it's all for nothing. Rom-com. It's all, she does all this shit. And like, that was the funniest thing in the world to me. It was like, she was going for an assistant manager position. Like, that's what she did all of this for. And she got dragged to hell. So it was great revisiting it. It was it's fun to look at that movie in like a, you know, as I'm older and wiser, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, plus it's got a lot of great gross out stuff. Like she like pukes like all the like formaldehyde all over her. From like her when she's like in the morgue or whatever.
I'm pretty sure the corpse of Mrs. Ganush rips hair out of her head like 3 times throughout the entire movie. Like even when she like she digs up her body to like give her back the button.
Yeah.
Like it starts raining and the rain comes in, and like as she's like trying to put the envelope in her mouth, like her hand like grabs her hair, and you just hear that like Velcro tear like one more time.
Yeah.
I follow the main actress on Twitter, and like she'll like every time a popular clip resurfaces from that movie, she'll like have like a quip or something. She's like, "Oh, like glad I spent 3 hours in makeup just to get puked on or like have blood thrown on."
Yeah. The big one is like during a dream sequence when she like she wakes up and she's like paranoid, and then she like lays back down and Mrs. Ganush is like in bed with her, and then like she like oh yeah, I looked it up on Twitter and there's a clip of it right there. Like she like is laying on top of her, she just like spews like maggots and shit all over her.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of like mouth projectiles and stuff in that movie.
I forget when she's like fighting with her in the car. She like takes like, it looks like a big file and like shoves it in her mouth, and it gets stuck like
back in her mouth. And that's when she's like still alive, right?
Yeah. And when she's fighting her off, she like staples her head like 3 times. Like staples her eye shut. And then she like opens her eye and the staple goes bing, and like
that's
spiderweb cracks her windshield. And then she puts her fist in her mouth in one of the like there's like a scene when she's like in the tool shed. There's like a pretty bad CGI sequence in that scene too, when she like the anvil falls and hits her in the head, and just like a CGI like 2 eyes and like
like towards the camera sort of thing.
Like it like lands on her face, but it's all CGI.
Oh, okay. Should have done it for real.
But yeah, it was a fun revisit to a movie that I haven't seen in a long time, and I was glad that it mostly held up.
Nice. You got anything, Chris? I guess
no,
if you don't, but
I've been super busy. Like I'm still in like work attire. Like
Shit.
Okay.
Hell of a week.
Okay. Well, I guess I just like I said, I've basically just been, I haven't completely, but we're still on a Japanese movie. I watched a couple more. So I did watch Pulse, and then I watched another old one that I kind of did in conjunction with Qui-Gon called Onibaba. I liked Onibaba a lot. And then Pulse, I said, kind of was similar to Cure, where like I liked a lot about it, but need to revisit. Onibaba was just a good first. It's it's a really depressing movie for a horror movie, in like it, not just because like, oh, people are dying and stuff like that. It's like it sets such a miserable tone and atmosphere, because like the movie is set during some conflict in like the 1300s or 1400s, and like at the beginning of the movie there's this guy who's like a deserter from this battle, and you're following this lady. They call her like the old hag or whatever, but she's like 40. And her daughter-in-law, they live together in this little hut, and her son and the girl's husband is like he's a warrior, and he's kind of the breadwinner for the family, but he's often in fighting in this war, so they've kind of got to like fend for themselves while he's doing that. And how they do that, how they make their money is by killing like wandering samurai and then selling their armor and like tools. And I looked up that the conflict was a real thing, and it sparked a 50-year-long like war in Japan. And the whole movie, they're trying to like convince themselves like, you know, we're just trying to survive. We just have to do this until he comes home. This war won't last that long. And it's like literally would be their entire lifetimes. And the whole movie is in this like wetland where it's tall grass. Like you never see above this grass in the whole movie. You might see like trees in the distance, but or they go to the river a couple times, but the whole thing is in this tall grassy area. So it's like, it's outdoors, like it's basically entirely outdoors, but it feels so claustrophobic and just miserable. I was thinking a lot of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that sort of like just terrible atmosphere that movie has. And then it's a really miserable movie, and I thought it was great.
I'm looking up some screenshots, and I think I'm definitely gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, the like creepy, that's what the Onibaba is. It translates to demon hag. It's very like, it's not super bombastic and like jump scary, but it's such a like striking mask. Like the black and white and the like sheer like lighting that they use to just light it up in the darkness is very like, it's pretty creepy. And then, Pulse was good. I gotta say, I didn't think it was that scary. I was like waiting, and I looked up the video because I'd seen that like on my YouTube recommended beforehand, so I'm pretty sure I know the exact video you're talking about. It says like that one scene, and it's like, this is like I hadn't watched it, but when it got to that scene, I'll say that I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the scene. But I'll be honest, like all that elicited out of me is like when she trips and she like wobbles or whatever. I was like, I went, ooh. I looked over and I was like, did Clea just hear me do that? So I thought it was cool. I liked that. Like it was like creepy, but I wasn't like shivering in my boots or anything. But that was that was pretty, like, it was creepy. I just wasn't like, shitting my pants. And there was a couple pretty good like creepy scenes in that. There's definitely some good if you like people standing in darkness just barely visible, there's like a few scenes of that that were pretty good. That was probably the creepiest part, was like there's a part where he's like looking at a wall and he like turns the light off and he like walks away and then he walks back and the shot is unbroken, which is nice because like I couldn't really tell. But he turns the light back on and there's a guy standing there, and then he turns the light back off and then he turns the light back on and the guy's gone, but there's like a stain on the wall where he was. That was pretty good. But yeah, very like, doesn't give you a lot. I feel like that one does have an American remake, and I'm sure that one's like, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. They're ghosts and they want this, and
there's like
this is how we get rid of them.
Exposition dumps to just tell you exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm. You get one monologue from a character like 2/3 of the way through this movie, and she's like, I think this is why they're here and this is what they're doing, and it's never expounded upon. It's just like they kind of say their theory and then they move on, and I kind of like that. I like when stories like do it that way. I'm trying to think of what maybe. Oh, they do that in Uzumaki. That's what I'm thinking of that I read recently. There's a bit of like, maybe this is why it's happening, but maybe not, and we're not going to tell you. You can just kind of pick what you think it is, I guess.
I mean, you can spend all day spiraling around those theories.
Yeah.
So I actually do have something.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So I don't remember if it was last year or the year before where I was talking about like a zombie movie where somebody's using like self-mutilation to like stave off turning,
Maybe. That
Yes.
sounds familiar.
and I couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah.
Return of the Living Dead 3.
Well, that's the one that I said.
Yep. And I
And
was like,
you-
that's
and
not
you-
right. Then I was like watching shit and I was like, oh, no, that is. Yep.
Hell yeah. So wait, did you rewatch it then or something, or?
No, I just went down a rabbit hole again because I was like, I have to
Oh,
figure this
okay.
out. It will drive me insane.
Gotcha. Yeah, that one I gotta watch it. I that's a series that I would like to go through because that one's even shorter than Child's Play. I think there's 5 of those total. I'm pretty sure the last 2 are like ass, like total ass. But I've seen 1, 3, and 4. I think. The first one's like that one's like a cult classic. That one's great. 3 I feel like is it's such a different kind of zombie movie, but like every time I think about it, it makes me really sad. So I really want to see it again to see if it's like actually as like emotionally effective as it is like in my brain from having watched it like 15 years ago or whatever. Because the whole story of like the main couple is like it's like really tragic. And like that the girl that does that, she's like I feel like I remember her being like a really sympathetic character because was just kind of put in this situation and she's like in constant pain and just miserable.
It has to keep upping the pain to not,
Yeah.
you know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Until
I
you
only
get-
saw it once in like high school and I've just never forgotten it. And I want to watch it again, especially now that I know what it's fucking called.
Yeah.
If only I listened to you like 2 years ago.
No, me too. I'm pretty sure I've seen the first one a couple times, but I only ever watched that one once, and yeah, same thing. It really stuck with me, especially the ending, like how she like looks at the end of that movie. Yeah, if you find the time, you should watch it so you can, because I want to see. I'm interested if it holds up. Recommendation,
Yeah, your pick. I don't know what this is.
which yeah goes back to me. Well, we're gonna say sayonara konbanwa to the land of the rising sun. Instead, we're gonna say konnichiwa, ohayo gozaimasu, dozo yoroshiku to Nihon, which is also Japan because I picked another Japanese movie. That was my lead-in. So I almost put this one just on my own just Hooptober list, but then I realized, looking into it, that I was like, I have to bring this up because of a connection to something else. I'm going to do from 1990, directed by Katsuhiro Otomo, World Apartment Horror. And the reason that I decided to is because it is directed by Katsuhiro Otomo from a story by Satoshi Kon. And if you don't recognize those names, that's because those are the people behind Magnetic Rose and Memories.
Oh.
Oh.
They were, I knew that, they were in my head. I was like, I don't know why I know them.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's the same makeup. I don't remember because Katsuhiro Otomo did Memories as a whole. I don't know if he directed Magnetic Rose specifically, but that was a Satoshi Kon story. This is also one by him. And this one I feel like I've been on the lookout for forever. It's on YouTube now, which is nice. It's a live action movie by Katsuhiro Otomo, who I think he has one other live action movie under his belt because he usually just does anime, Memories.
Mm-hmm.
Akira is the big one, obviously. So it's just been a curiosity of mine. That's what I said, right? Yeah, Qui-Gon was the classic. This was the curiosity. So it's like if you thought Qui-Gon was an obscure pick.
You mean a curiosity?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, very good. Damn, I can only find this movie on eBay on VHS. I don't think it has been released.
No, I don't think so. And the like rip on YouTube, it's gonna be low quality, but I think that's all we'll have access to.
Yeah.
I'm glad that prior to finding it on YouTube, I actually have bookmarked from a while ago a bookmark. Like when I find I was on what is it, the like Internet Archive or whatever. There was like a rip of it on there, and I thought that was gonna be like the only way to watch it, but it's on YouTube now. It's cool.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, watch that before the next episode if you don't want to be spoiled for World Apartment Horror. These episodes come out on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. EST on YouTube in video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, who am I? Wait, where are we?
How did we get here?
Wait, what is this? Is this? Oh, I'm TJ, apparently. And with me as always.
As always. Shit. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see how quickly this downloads. Let me install this. Hold on, I'm stalling. Okay. Hey.
Oh shit.
There are so many ads that popped up when I... does it move? Oh, it does move. It does move a little bit.
Okay. It's like the ad, the later app. Nice.
And as always, I am Kill Your Friend, Nick. And with me, as always,
I'm a detective. I don't show any emotion. Now watch me throw everything off this desk.
hell yeah.
With you for October, I am Chris.
Nice. You know, the
I'm
build
deleting
up,
that off my phone.
the build up for that and the payoff is going to be even better for the people listening in the audio form. So.
Also, I was also going to do the, oh shit, like, I can't remember my name. Can you tell me about yourself bit? But it seemed like we all had the same idea.
Yeah, didn't have that one up.